Welcome to the excellent episodes of Bubblegum.
Hi guys, and welcome to excellent episodes with Bubblegum. I'm your host Bubblegum, and today I will be interviewing Percivale Young. Hi Percivale, how are you doing?
Hi, g'day Bubblegum. It's just a pleasure being on this platform today. Now, I'm doing fine out here in Victoria, up north. It's just very hot out here. But yeah, I'm dealing with it. I'm doing fine at the moment.
Cool. Is it fine if I ask you some questions?
Please go ahead, Bubblegum.
Okay. What inspired you to choose your career?
Well, Bubblegum, you'll be surprised. Back in the day when I was still at high school, my parents, well, actually my father, wanted me to become an electrical engineer, and he was hell-bent that his son must become this person who works with his hands and has got this oily hands and stuff like that, or working with electrical equipment. But when it came to Standard 9, I think it's grade 11 nowadays, I was introduced to a journalism course, and that changed the whole course of my life, because only after a 3-day course, I decided this is what I want to do. I want to become a journalist. I want to be out there in the world telling people stories, meeting new people, going to places. And yeah, that's the short of a very long story. I eventually went on to go and study at a tertiary institution called CPUT. Back then it was called Pentec. And yeah, today I'm a journalist for the past I'm actually ashamed to say this, for the past 20 years.
That's cool. Okay, what risks have you encountered?
Well, risks, I must confess, the most part of my career I've been in sport. So the only risk that I've encountered was possibly a ball hitting my head or stuff like that. And there was a short stint where I was a news reporter from 2012 until, say, 2018. I was a news reporter for my current employer at the moment, working for the Afrikaans desk. And part of my job back then was to go out into all the different areas. And one of the biggest stories I covered as a news reporter was a farm worker strike. It was one of the biggest farm worker strikes in our country in the Western Cape. And I think there we were confronted by very hostile environments with police shootings and farm workers striking. But yeah, the short of it was a very hostile environment. But for that 5 years, that was the biggest hostility I had to deal with. I made it through that, and that just made me strong as a journalist, because it taught me a lot of things in life as well. People's difficulties, how you have to look after yourself, and how you tell people's stories. Not everything is rosy. Not everything is rosy out there. People have, especially in our country, have a lot of struggles. And as a journalist, I had to tell those stories facing those hostilities.
Okay. What was one of the most exciting or interesting stories you have come across?
Well, for me personally, Bubblegum, it was, I was fortunate. I think this is only one of the biggest events in my life as a journalist. I was fortunate to attend the Rugby World Cup in 2015 in England. And I think it's not so much going to England, but it was the opportunity to go and work over there in England and do work for my current employer in South Africa. And being a South African journalist in that so-called foreign environment, doing this big sporting showpiece and reporting back to our country and telling our stories, I think that is something that will last, would go with me for the rest of my life, because it was just an amazing experience. And just surprisingly, Facebook constantly reminds me these couple of weeks of what we did over there in England, telling a sporting story to our South African nation and how our country, the Springboks, obviously, how they did in that World Cup, and telling human interest stories of South Africans living in England, and then obviously broadcasting that to South Africa. So that was one of my biggest and most amazing experiences I could do. I think a lot of people think it's just nice being out there watching sport. And surprisingly, I must confess, I get paid to watch sport. But as much as it sounds very glamorous, you have to do a hard work, because our work is our part of journalism is a very creative part. You can't just say somebody's kicking a ball. You have to tell that in a very creative way. Somebody has worked hard, an athlete has worked hard to be where he's at, where he came from, what he has to do currently, working hard, and where he ended up. And I think there's such a lot of these stories we get to tell as sports journalists. And it's a privilege and an honor being that. In short, to answer your question, my biggest moment and the biggest part of my career was covering the 2015 Rugby World Cup in England. I think I was privileged to do that. And yeah, that will last me for the rest of my life though.
Okay. Was it tough to work in this industry?
Welcome. To be honest with you, our industry has its ups and its downs. Usually when you go and study, your lecturer will tell you most of us as journalists, we're supposed to do this work out of passion for this career as a journalist. The reality is that for the first part of your life, you are excited, you are energetic, you do things at a certain pace. But once you get much more mature, you understand that as much as you're doing this as a passion, it also becomes your career. It becomes your bread and butter. You do this job to put food on the table. And a lot of people might disagree with me, and I understand that. But once you become mature and you become a married man like myself, I'm a father of 2 kids as well, a son and a daughter. You also understand that your job is important because every morning when you wake up, you're going to work to put food on the table and possibly to put a roof over your head as well. So to answer your question, I think people do it for different reasons. People do it for the passion of the job, but people also do it because it's their livelihoods. They do it to put food on the table, to keep them alive. So yeah, you might ask Percivale Young why he does it. I do it out of twofold. I do it because I love this job. Like I said, I get paid to watch sport, but at the same time, I also do it because I know I've got a responsibility as a father, as a husband to a wife, and yeah, personally also to show what I'm capable of.
Okay. What advice would you give to all young people out there who would take into consideration to become a...
Well, like I just mentioned in my earlier question, is that some people from the start, they just love this career. This career is something special, I must confess. Like I said, a lot of people do it out of passion for journalism. It takes you places. It allows you to meet new people. You go to new environments. You're also faced with difficult challenges, difficult challenges most days, for instance, and you have to deal with those challenges. But because you're doing it for the passion, you get used to that environment. And as mature you get, the more you get to these environments. Once you're younger, you still find it difficult to find your way through all these difficult emotions you're going through on a daily basis. Like I said, as a sports reporter, it sounds very glamorous. You just go out, you go and watch sporting events, and then you have to report back. But sometimes your sporting event can turn into a sad event. It can become a hostile environment. And then you have to deal with those environments. I would encourage young people to... Journalism is such a great idea. It's such a rewarding career as well. But it's also a very commanding career because journalism can take you away from your family for very long days, for long hours, for weeks sometimes, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices in this career. And that's not all the things that lecturers can always tell you, or even your colleagues, people you meet out in the industry. They don't always tell you that side of the job. It also brings a lot of emotions across in this career, because sometimes you have, as a news reporter, you might have to go and do a story of somebody who just passed away, somebody who was just killed, for instance. And then that brings up different emotions in you as a reporter. And you as a reporter, with your experience or lack of experience, you have to learn to deal with those emotions. As a young person, I would encourage people to get into this industry. It's an industry that opens the world to you. You can travel the world, but you must always also be aware of the challenges you might face, the emotions you might face, and the impact it can have on you as an individual or you as a family. But by all means, I would encourage people, especially young people, to get involved in this industry.
Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Percivale Young, for tuning in and answering my questions.
Bubblegum, it's only been a pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope to speak to you guys in the near future again. All the best of luck.
You too. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed my podcast. And if you did, please smash that like button down below. And I will see all of you next time. Goodbye.
Excellent episodes with Bubblegum.